Well, there it I am. Woo. Okay, we're starting off the new year with a little bit of technical issues, but I think I got it figured out. I was logged into the wrong show. It happens when you do three of them. Good morning and happy new year to everybody. Thank you so much for being here on the Nikki Medoro show. Nikki is in San Francisco. Somebody has to pay off Christmas, so she is at her other job. So I am starting us off for the very first show of 2024, and thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. I should say that you can find us at thenikkimedoroshow.com. Of course, you know it, but there it is, thenikkimedoroshow.com. You can find the Patreon and PayPal links there. You can find the link for Nikki's merchandise there, some great stuff, and you can still find her list of favorite things. I ordered for Christmas 3 of the Otrio board games, one for my family, one for my sister's family, and one for a very good friend's family. Everybody loves this game. So there's a lot of great stuff on there. I'm glad that I took advantage of Nikki's favorite things, and I hope that you check it out as well. So welcome. How was your New Year's? I hope it was good. I hope it was peaceful and that everybody is safe and you guys came through the holidays wonderfully. There is something I want to do when I start off this New Year show, and I'm going to put it in here right now. And it is the link to be on the show. So anything that we talk about today, or if you have your own ideas that you want to share, whatever it is, there is the link to become a guest on the show today. And I welcome your comments. It's kind of a harken back to the old days of KGO. Got my blanket all cozy up in here. It's gray and rainy outside today. We're gonna have some rain this week in the Bay Area anyway. So yeah. So I do want you to feel comfortable to kind of let the good times roll here on the Nikki Medoro show. And if you want to share something, it's kind of like being a caller into the old radio station. Please come on in, and we'll talk a little bit about what's on your mind. All right. Um, let's start. Let us begin. Because we had a big New Year's celebration in San Francisco, down by the waterfront along the Embarcadero. And the Ferry Building beautifully lit up for Christmas, except, it it included a message that maybe no one expected. Yeah, there were thousands of people watching the show, and yeah, we got some messages. One for Elon Musk, and one for Mayor London Breed. And I have some pictures. Hopefully, you'll be able to make out what they were showing. So there it is. You can see the lights up on the top of the Ferry Building, and then on the bottom it says Mayor Breed's corruption. Oh, Mayor Breed's corruption. Wait a minute, that's not what was supposed to be shown. Yeah, the messages from this projector showed up right before the clock hit midnight. So this is when all the eyes were on the tower, right? Mm-hmm. There were some these messages, this one for Mayor London Breed, and then another one, see if I can find it. I think I put it in here, for Elon Musk. Yeah. And it said, see if I can find it. I might not have both of them. I'm sorry. The other one for Elon Musk said, STFU, shut the beep up, Musk. Somebody nearby shined these messages up on the clock tower right before midnight. We don't know who the person was. They were not caught, but obviously somebody near or taking part in the celebration or whatever. I mean, yeah. No comment from Mayor Breed's office. But these messages, I get the frustration. It was a very San Francisco thing to do. But I don't know if I wanna mar the new year coming in with bad messages, you know? Kinda wanna keep it positive. What do you think? I mean, does it bother you? It wouldn't have bothered me if I was down on the waterfront watching, I don't think. I don't know. Something else I wanted to show you, this wave in Carmel. Did you guys see this? This is crazy. So you've probably seen this before. Of course, this is the famous lone pine tree or lone cypress tree rather, standing in Carmel on this rock, looks to be pretty high up, right? You would think that it was safe from the waves, and usually it is, but we've had some big wave action in the Bay Area. And so what we got instead was the tree inundated by this giant wave. They're calling it a shockingly high wave, but I did want to show it to you. Let's see if I can't get it here. Look at this. Whoa. Yeah, that was unexpected.
That was a big
What?
wait 20 minutes for that.
I
Oh
mean,
my God.
who expected that? You think that cliff is high up enough that that wouldn't happen. And I don't know if this happens all the time, but look at that. Yeah. So we've had
That was
some
a big
really high waves around the Bay Area. I don't know if we're projected to have more of them this week, but I think it's definitely a moment to be careful along the coast. I was supposed to go on New Year's Day to a beach in Marin County where my son's classmates were gathering to ring in the new year. And I decided, yeah, that's a little dangerous to take a bunch of kids out to the beach when it's really iffy along the coastline. But what a video that was. Things did not start very well in Japan. I don't know if you guys saw this, but there was a big, big earthquake in Japan, a magnitude 7.6. It hit Western Japan. 48 people killed during this earthquake in Japan. Thousands of buildings, vehicles, boats damaged. There were warnings of tsunamis. As a matter of fact, they were hit by large waves as well. They're still having aftershocks even today. The people that died were in the community of Ishikawa. So sad. 16 people seriously injured, 48 killed. There's so much damage to homes there, they haven't even been able to assess it all. I mean, here in the Bay Area, it's like there before the grace of God. That could have happened here, right? And it's funny because in California, I think a lot of times we just think, just the earth letting off steam, no big deal. We all know that sooner or later the big one's coming. Um, so when it happens somewhere else, it's very, you know, our hearts go out because we know for sure that that could be us, right? They have no water, they have no power, they have no cell phone service in some areas there. It remains down. Um, they say walls are collapsed all over the place. It's really sad, really sad, very scary as well, and not the way you want to start the new year. Um, the 2016 quake, I don't know if you remember that one in Kumamoto. That one caused very widespread damage in Japan. They had to dispatch their military to the disaster zones. So I don't know if they'll be doing that here. This again was a magnitude 7.5. They've already had 5.6 aftershocks. They have nuclear power plants in that region, but they say that they're operating normally. The one that did the damage with the nuclear issue was in 2011. So they're no stranger to big earthquakes in Japan. That was a scary way to start things off. Did you hear, speaking of the new year, United Airlines did this thing with this promotion where they said, hey, see if that's it. Yeah. Hey, what was it? Depart Guam to Honolulu. You can beat the clock, is what they said on United Airlines. You can beat the clock. You can time travel. So you're supposed to expect to celebrate the New Year's twice, right? You would take off in one time zone, you would land in another, you would be able to ring in the new year 2 times. But that's not what happened. Nope. So the airline promotes this unique flight from Guam to Honolulu that travels across the international date line. So you would technically land in Hawaii a day before you depart. So you could bring in the new year twice within 24 hours. Their ad said this: "You only live once, but you can celebrate New Year's Eve twice." This flight was supposed to depart Guam at 7:35 a.m. January 1st and land in Honolulu at 6:50 p.m. December 31st. Okay, except for there was a flight delay. So everybody who was trying to ring in the new year twice ended up being delayed 6 hours, and they landed in Hawaii 30 minutes after the new year. So no. Hopefully you lived it up on your first New Year celebration because you did not get to celebrate twice. No, kind of a bad luck. Uh, bad luck situation for all the people who are trying to skirt time and celebrate two times. No can do. All right, let's get a little bit of news of the day before we move on. I think I can do it right. You know how I what happens to me though every time I try to do these things by myself. We'll give it a whirl.
Now, from around the world to up your street, the Nikki Medoro Show presents News Czar Kim McAllister.
All right. See if I can get it going here. It is the Nikki Medoro Show. I am Kim McAllister, and thank you for being with us. This report sponsored by you. We will start it with former President Trump's legal team, who could appeal the Colorado Supreme Court's decision banning him from the Republican primary ballot as soon as today. Trump is expected to appeal the decision to the U.S. Supreme Court. He will also appeal the Maine Secretary of State's decision to keep him off the state's primary ballot there as well. House Speaker Mike Johnson will visit the U.S.-Mexico border as migrant crossings hit record levels. Johnson will travel to Eagle Pass, Texas today, along with dozens of other Republican lawmakers. This comes as Democrats and Republicans restart negotiations on border policy changes in exchange for Ukraine funding. That is when Congress returns next week, I believe on the 9th. Several factors have led to a cooler labor market in recent months, and economists now expect hiring to slow considerably in 2024. The job growth is likely to stay concentrated in a handful of sectors, including healthcare and social assistance, as well as leisure and hospitality, and state and local government as well. Outside those industries, hiring has slowed sharply, and in some areas, it's even contracted a little bit. Israel says it will withdraw several thousand troops from the Gaza Strip. The IDF making those announcements Monday, noting the nearly 3-month long war has taken a growing toll on the Israeli economy. According to the United Nations, more than 85% of Gaza's residents have been displaced from their homes. The fighting has apparently left more than 20,000 people dead, according to the latest estimate. The search is over in Utah for a missing foreign exchange student. Police in Riverdale, along with several other law enforcement agencies, located 17-year-old Kai Zhuang in the Brigham City Canyon area last night, or Sunday night rather, north of Salt Lake City. Officials say they found this teenager in a tent near the mountains, and he looked very cold and scared. Police believe Zhuang was isolating himself at the direction of cyber kidnappers because they found several phones in his tent. Such a strange situation. I'm telling you guys, I don't know. Um, Actor Ian Ziering is speaking out about his altercation with a gang of mini bikers who surrounded his car while he was stuck in traffic. Ziering posted to his Instagram account that he is deeply concerned about the growing boldness of groups like this who disrupt public safety and peace. He goes on to urge city officials and law enforcement to take decisive action against what he called the lawlessness in the streets of Los Angeles. Zwiering's 10-year-old daughter was in the car during the attack yesterday. He said they both came away unscathed, but really pretty scary. And the video of that attack is pretty awful. They surround his car. He gets out of the car and he tries to fight them off. He's grabbed by a couple of them and kind of starts swinging, and finally ends up across the street where they give up. And it's unclear if they were trying to rob him or what exactly happened there, but pretty scary. The price of alcohol is going up in California. Really, what price is not going up in California? That's what I want to know. On the first of the year, the state officially expanded its beverage container recycling program to include glass, wine, and liquor bottles, boxed wine containers, and alcoholic beverage pouches. Consumers will pay a California redemption value fee when purchasing such products and can redeem them at a CRV refund recycling center. CRV fees range from 5 cents to 25 cents depending on the size and shape of the container. You take your time to go take those back, or do you just put them in the recycle bin and hope for the best? Yeah, me too. Right. A medical discovery from the University of California, San Diego could eventually mean the end of acne. Wow. Researchers say they've created a vaccine that reduces inflammation, targeting the bacterial enzyme that causes acne. Big issue because as many as 70 to 80% of people develop acne at some point in their lives. UC San Diego researchers think their vaccine could hit the market in 5 to 10 years. A vaccine that gets rid of acne. Wow, that's cool. Barclays is downgrading Apple stock. Analysts cut their ratings to underweight with a price target of $160, down from the 161. The dampened expectations come after softened demand for the latest iPhone. Interestingly, I would have thought it would have been the watch that they couldn't sell and now they're selling again. I don't know. Tesla topped all electric vehicles in Norway for the third straight year. The electric vehicle giant increasing its market share from 12 to 20%. EVs represent 80% of all new vehicles sold in Norway. So, uh, Tesla doing very well. Don't have to worry about Elon Musk. He doesn't care about our message on the Ferry Building in San Francisco. No arrests were made after a group of more than 50 pro Palestinian protesters blocked the Rose Parade route in Pasadena. This group, calling for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza, walked in front of the first float and held up the parade for about 15 minutes on Monday morning. They left peacefully at the order of police. Later in the day, about 65 people held a similar demonstration outside of an exhibition that allows people to see the parade floats up close. So they tried to hit it twice. uh Understand what they're trying to say, but yeah, leave it there. um In Los Angeles, there are two people dead and two in critical condition. This after a car crash in the Harvard Park area. A father and 5-year-old daughter died in this two-car crash late Sunday night. A mother and 2-year-old girl critically injured. Investigators think this SUV hit the family's car after running a stop sign while speeding away from a traffic collision. The driver of the SUV has serious but non-life-threatening injuries. That person faces charges that include murder and gross vehicular manslaughter now. So, scary situation there. Someone in Southern California will be celebrating their 2024 with a pretty big amount of cash after buying a Powerball ticket worth $1.2 million. The ticket, sold in Baker in San Bernardino County, matched 5 of the 6 winning numbers in Monday's Powerball drawing. Somebody in Michigan, though, won the jackpot. That's worth an estimated $842.4 million. So the big winner in Michigan. Now we don't have to play for a while. We'll wait till it goes back up again, right? I mean, that's kind of that's the way I play anyway. I don't know how you play or if you play. Could be a pretty rough commute for a lot of people in the Bay Area this morning, especially if you're in Orinda. That after a BART train derailment, 9 people ended up being hospitalized after this train partially derailed along the Highway 24 corridor Monday morning. 2 of the train cars caught fire in the incident, and BART officials say the derailment happened after a computer failure stopped the train from automatically changing routes. As of late Monday night, it is unclear when the BART train tracks and 2 lanes of Highway 24 will be open for traffic. Hopefully that has already happened. This horrible situation in San Francisco, Treasure Island to be exact. A Bay Area family grieving after a New Year's fireworks incident killed a teenager. Authorities were called to the Treasure Island neighborhood early Monday after someone said a large fireworks explosive had hit someone in the head. This is why we don't set off fireworks, people. The victim was given treatment but died at the scene. Authorities say the death is tragic and it's a reminder about the danger of illegal fireworks. So sad. More rain, of course, we know it's gonna be a gray day outside here in Petaluma. More rain is headed to the Bay Area after drying out a little over the New Year's Day weekend. Residents can expect rain to start falling in the North Bay later this afternoon before pushing toward the west. Showers and isolated thunderstorms are expected to pepper the region tomorrow as well before heading out of the area on Thursday morning. So we've got a couple days of rain ahead of us. That's to be expected. I'm Kim McAllister, and this is the Nikki Medoro Show. All right, let's get right back into the news because there's a lot more to talk about. Let's discuss help wanted signs because Lindsey Graham, I don't know if you saw this. He says, America's full. No more immigrants can come here. When you come to our border, we say, I'm sorry, we're full. That's what he says. And so I don't know if that's true. I mean, when you talk about whether America is full or not, and I just read the story about hiring slowing down a little bit, but it seems to me like when I look around, there's still help wanted signs on restaurant windows. There's still places for people to be and fit in to our society here. And so I wonder, is the US really full? And what if when our ancestors had come here, you know, if they had said, "Sorry, we're full. That's it. You can't be here." When you come to our border, we say, "I'm sorry, we're full," says Lindsey Graham on Face the Nation over the weekend. He's looking at this surge of migrants arriving at the southern border, claiming asylum. Um, it's left a lot of people in legal limbo. He said the best solution is to ship large numbers of migrants back from where they came. He would discourage others from attempting to enter the country if we did that. 1.7 million people are ready to be deported. Let's deport them before we let new people in. Do you think we're full? Do you think we should put up the closed sign and say, that's it? Done. Can't be here. I mean, what happens to our economy if we say that? Do we have enough seasonal workers in agriculture to help? I was watching a story, I think it was a CNN story, and they were talking to farmers about whether they have enough help. And it was in the middle of the country. Corn, um, mostly corn, I think potatoes. And these were Trump voters and they run farms. There were like three of them that were interviewed. And they said, we need to hire migrants to do our work because we don't have enough people that are citizens that are applying for these jobs, and we need the help. And if we don't have the help, then we're not going to be able to do the harvest. And so when they were asked about the harsh language of recent, where Trump has said migrants are poisoning the blood of America and whatnot, they said, we're not going to vote for him this time around, even though they had voted for him in the last two elections. He said, we're not going to vote for him because we believe that that's not true. And we don't believe that it's a welcoming message and we need the help. So here you have even Trump voters are saying, wait a minute, we need workers. So I would ask, is America closed? Should we put the closed sign on the shop and say that's it? I know there's a lot of people trying to come in, but I don't know if we're closed. And I mean, it's a bad feeling. I like that the Biden administration is going to the countries where most people are coming from and saying, what can we do to help improve conditions here to make people not want to leave? That seems to be the smartest thing. To put the closed sign up at the border, I don't know. Randy writing today, there's a big difference between a viable guest worker program and unlimited numbers of immigrants and asylum seekers. Okay, I'll grant you that. But we don't really have either that work, do we? I mean, I don't think we do. That's why they have to come in some way. James writing today, we're not full in terms of available jobs, but in many places we just don't have the housing, especially here in California, where we also need the agricultural labor. Very true. And we saw unfortunately, it took a shooting to help us see in Half Moon Bay how some people and some migrants are treated and how they're living. And that's not acceptable either. No. The Lady Beatrice, we have jobs waiting to be filled after the pandemic. These migrants can fill those jobs. I agree with you. And is it like Randy says that we need to create a viable guest worker program? And who's going to make these changes? We need to do something differently because it's not working. OCB writes, I don't know about being full or not, but it seems like there is no end to the current rate. It does. It absolutely does. And Square says, yeah, we need reform. And I agree, Randy, and that could be reform in the way of a guest worker program, you know? Um, but I don't see anything being fixed at all. Aussie Rules writes, if employers can't find employees, they will need to increase pay, which is a good thing. Yes or no? Not always. No, not always. I mean, okay, you're already paying how much when you leave the grocery store? Are you going to be able to afford to walk out of the grocery store with the fruits and vegetables that you normally buy if you have to pay twice what you pay now for it? I mean, yes, but I still don't think, even if you doubled the pay, that Americans are going to take very intensive, physically demanding jobs like that. Are we spoiled? Do we like our desk jobs? Have we been trained in computers? Have we been doing other things? Maybe, yeah. I don't know. I mean, on one hand, I could go with, yeah, it's a good thing if we increase pay, but on the other hand, if you increase the cost of anything, there's more costs rising again. And I don't know about you, but PG&E bills are already going up starting today, which we'll talk about. The price of everything was going up. Things are kind of coming back down a little bit now, but I don't know if it's good to increase the prices. Aussie, I mean, I'm not an economist. Maybe you're right. Randy again saying we need to address the largest source of illegal immigration, visa overstays. You're not wrong. I mean, but what are we going to do? Deport everyone? Or come up with a different system if you've overstayed your visa? Can you make a good case for staying? Do you have work? Are you a criminal? What have you? I mean, I would like to know who's here and why. Lori says, funny, I heard an interview with Florida farm workers who are Trump supporters, and they said they need migrant workers. Must have been a similar story. Yeah, probably. Although I didn't think they were Floridian. Then maybe some of them were. I thought it was kind of more like Nebraska, uh, the Midwest kind of people, but maybe. But yeah, these are farmers. These are Trump supporters. These are Republicans who are saying, wait a minute, we don't like your messaging, Republicans, when it comes to migrants. We need these people to work. And Aussie rolls, yes, after the fact, which will increase prices, which is also not good. Right. So what's the right thing to do here? I don't know. I love the conversation you guys are having, though. Yeah, they do need to address it. They've always needed to address it, though, haven't they? And yet nothing ever gets done. And we can sit here and agree about it, and then they still don't take any action. It's really frustrating. John writing today, so many Republicans want to keep problems because it gives them a better shot at getting elected by making President Biden look bad. It's possible, absolutely, that they wouldn't step in to help fix it, that they would just point at the problem. Vicky says not all of the migrants are employable. I mean, you have little children coming through, and so they might not be. I know in years past, read stories where children just come by themselves. So I wouldn't think that they're employable, but I think many of them have family members here who they're staying with. That maybe I'm wrong on that. But I don't know, Vicky, if you take this journey from your home country to America, in some cases it's really dangerous, right? Some people, pay I don't know what they're called, the mules or whatever they are, the coyotes to bring them over, and their journey is fraught with all kinds of dangers. I don't know if you do that and you come here to have a better life and have the opportunities and you're not employable. It seems like you'd likely, I mean, you can't make the trip if you're disabled, right? So it seems like most of them would be employable, but maybe I'm wrong on that too. I mean, I'm not standing at the border watching people come through, checking a box saying, can you work? All right, then come on in. I don't know. Sam writing, if it was not for immigrants, the United States would be completely shut down during the pandemic. That's true because it was the immigrants who were what? Cooking up the food, back in the kitchen, serving the food. I mean, I don't want to make it be a stereotype, but it is very true that a lot of migrants do work in our food industries. So, yeah, you're right, Sam. And thank you to them. And this is the thanks they get, right? We're closed. You got to go. Doesn't quite seem right. Randy says, how's increasing the minimum wage for fast food workers work out for all those pizza delivery people that are getting laid off in California? Yeah. I don't know if that means that they won't be able to find other jobs or if then they just move to DoorDash and the deliveries continue. I don't know how that will shift or how that will work, Randy. But yeah, your point is not lost on me. Harry, good morning, says the GOP would rather use immigration as an election cudgel instead of crafting a solution. And we need somebody with solutions. I don't, you know, I don't see that solution happening. Again, I do like that the Biden administration is going to the countries where most people are coming from, trying to say, what can we do to help you keep your people here at their home? I don't know if that's going to work. I hope so, though. Phineas J. Whoopi says the Republicans haven't created any immigration reform. They just like to blame the Democrats for the same problem, and then both parties just kick the can down the road. When do we, though, become people who say, you know what? We're not really ready to kick the can down the road. You know what? We demand that you make some changes here, that you do something that makes sense. And that doesn't necessarily mean put up the sign that says we're closed, because I don't think that works either. No. Vilma says we should have more immigration judges, so that immigrants claiming asylum find out quickly whether or not they can stay in this country. I think that they're trying to do that, Vilma, if I read that right. I think they are trying to do that. And Knit One Pearl One saying yesterday, I'm doing everything I can to use less electricity. Oh, yeah, me too. I'm telling you, I have my blanket. I've got my sweater, my office sweater. I'm trying to not pay more PG&E bills. That's what I'm trying not to do. Maud writes, employers are seeking to pay lower wages. The powers that be will not change immigration because of greed. That's sad, isn't it? James, I find that in the building trades, it's impossible to compete if you pay a livable wage and also pay workers comp and file W-2 for employees versus a 1099. So you do things right, you take care of your people, and it makes things nearly impossible. Absolutely. And Vilma also writing that a lot of Americans are afraid that too many immigrants will change the culture of our country. But hasn't it always? Right? I mean, depending on the time in our history, surges of different people have come and things have changed and we've become, a different country, but the same in that we welcome everyone. So, yeah. um, um, well, thank you for that conversation. Oh, and Doug jumping in with a $5 super sticker. Thank you so much. Nikki and I really appreciate that. The super stickers, super chats are open. And again, find us at thenikkimedoroshow.com. So we appreciate that. All right, let's talk about John Roberts, who has issued his Supreme Court year-end report. It makes me think of that. It's a cartoon. Secret report, secret report. Yeah, it's not a secret. It's being put out there for all of us to hear and know. But yeah, John Roberts has got his Supreme Court of the United States year-end report. He warns in this of artificial intelligence dehumanizing the law, He doesn't talk about the Trump legal disputes. He doesn't talk about the Supreme Court ethics reform. No, he doesn't talk about those things. He just talks about other stuff. So let's dig into it. I'm sorry, I have to take off Doug's. Thank you for that super sticker, by the way. I really appreciate it. So he raises concerns about the increasing presence of artificial intelligence in the judicial system in America. He warns the emerging technology could risk dehumanizing the law. And he writes that AI obviously has great potential to dramatically increase access to key information for lawyers and non-lawyers, but just as obviously risks invading privacy interests and dehumanizing the law. So, in his year-end report, Chief Justice Roberts spends about 13 pages of his year-end report talking about how new technology has brought positive changes to the federal court system, but also how it has been, it could be something that causes issues. What he did not talk about in his report was the major disputes involving former President Trump. He didn't talk about Supreme Court ethics, which has been huge in 2023, right? As we finally figured out that everybody's on the take. Well, everybody meaning mostly Justice Thomas, but okay. Didn't talk about the transparency that has faced the court, transparency issues that led to the new code of conduct rules being released just last month. But he just went off on AI in this year-end report. So, I mean, is that interesting? Yes. Is it something that should be addressed? Sure. But if you're going to issue a year-end report, then maybe we need to talk about what did happen in the Supreme Court, right? And what are the issues facing us in 2024? If you're just going to talk about what happened in 2023, I don't know how you leave Supreme Court ethics out of it. He ends up talking about AI, talking about human judges will be around for a while. But he's also predicting that judicial work at the trial level will be significantly impacted by AI. Okay, I don't know. Maybe. I just think that was that's not a real year-end report. If you can't address, if that's all you want to address, then just call it an AI, a summary on AI in the judicial system. Don't call it a year-end report if you're not going to really talk about what happened. As I mentioned a couple of times already this morning, California's PG&E bills are going up again starting today. Yeah. I mean, we knew it was coming, but today is the day. Most households' gas and electric bills that are customers of PG&E will increase about 13%. That's $34.50 a month. That according to a PG&E press release put out on Friday. I know that there's another increase sitting on the table for the California Public Utilities Commission to consider. It's so frustrating. And I get they need to help pay for undergrounding lines and they need to reduce the risk of gas leaks and wildfires. This is where they say our extra money is going for. Undergrounding at least 1,200 miles of power lines in wildfire-prone areas, installing new technology to detect gas leaks. The investments, they say, this is a PG&E press release. The investments we plan in 2024 and beyond focus on three goals: keeping our energy system safe and reliable for our customers, meeting growing energy demand, and adding even more renewables to our energy mix. At the same time, we are aggressively focused on finding new ways to work so we can keep future bill increases at or below a broader long-term inflation rate of 2 to 4%. So here we go again. I mean, go make sure your lights are turned off, right? If you walked out of a room, I mean, is that what we're back to? Because when I was little. I can remember my dad saying, "Did you mean to leave the light on in that room? Got to really think about it when you walk out of a room. Turn off the light." I'm back to that now with my kids. Did you mean to leave those lights on? Did you mean to leave that plugged in? God, that's where we are. So, um, in 2021, the CPUC approved a 12.8% increase in November. That was apparently down from the 17.9% that they had requested. The hike that goes into effect today increases our bills by an average of 3.6% over the next 3 years. That according to the PG&E press release. I have a feeling it's going to feel like a lot higher than that because it always does. And this is not the last one coming. There's another energy increase, PG&E bill increase right behind it. And it's again one of these things, kind of like immigration, where nothing ever changes. And when are we going to finally have had enough where we say, okay, you're done, stop it, where it becomes a major campaign issue? Because I don't know about you, but I feel like being used, with these rubber stamp increase after increase, and there's nothing we can do. Mm. Except turn off the lights and wear a blanket. That's what we can do on a rainy, rainy day. Frustrating. I mean, are you mad that starting today, it's going to cost you more to turn a light on or to run whatever you're running? Am I the only one? I don't think I'm the only one frustrated. No, that can't possibly be right. Liz bought 2 electric blankets and additional blankets. I don't even use the electric blankets that often because it's chilly out. Yeah. Now that you have to pay extra for the power, maybe not so much, right? Yeah. Then comes summer in those hot areas. That's true. And what are you going to do? Frustrating. Yeah. Nip One Pearl One bought his cats, or her cats. I'm assuming him, faux blanket, and they love it. That's nice. Liz has already reduced usage drastically. My kids over the holidays kept telling me the house was absolutely freezing. My mom had a rule growing up that you don't turn the heater on until Thanksgiving. You have to wait till Thanksgiving. It's getting really cold over there. I'm telling you, wear a sweater to my mom's house. Ooh. Knit One Pearl One saying rent and property up, utilities up. I can curb spending, but there are some things you have to spend on. Nope, PG&E, your profits will not go down. And that's the thing. It's true. Everything is going up. And I have tried to curb spending too. Like I'm getting rid of some of the streaming services that I was paying for. Thinking, all right, well, PG&E is going up. It's got to come from somewhere, right? I'm not going into debt to pay my PG&E bill, which means I have to cut somewhere else. So, let's see this one from SF Tesla. Our place is perpetual 85 all summer, 75 all winter. Don't know where it comes from. No vents, but the Ray Pack surge 24/7. Well, I like that you don't have to turn on the heater or the air conditioner and that you're kind of mellow over there. That's good. Yeah. Um Yeah, I was trying to see if you guys sorry, trying to look for chats to put up and also read the chat and do the show at the same time. Whoo, too much going on. SF Tesla writes, imagine some fool trying to run one of those old time 60-watt bulbs that use 60 watts instead of 6-watt LEDs. Yeah, all of our Christmas lights were LEDs this year, I'm not mad, I'm outraged. Absolutely. As we should be. And how much are we going to take? I don't know. I don't know, you guys, but here it comes starting today. Let's talk about this from Jamie Raskin, who says the 14th Amendment is the most democratic disqualifier. I thought this is a really good argument when you talk about why the 14th Amendment is a good idea to move forward with when you look at disqualifying Trump from the ballots, because I've heard the argument from more than one person that that should be decided at the ballot box, that voters should weigh in on this. But Congressman Jamie Raskin, who's a Democrat from Maryland, had this to say, and it's an interesting argument against that. He says it's undemocratic that is it undemocratic that former California Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger and Energy Secretary Jennifer Granholm can't run for president because they weren't born in the country? If you think about it, of all the forms of disqualification that we have, the one that disqualifies people for engaging in insurrection is the most democratic because it's the one where people choose themselves to be disqualified, right? Schwarzenegger didn't choose where to be born. Granholm didn't choose where to be born. But when you choose to partake in an insurrection, whip one up, or provide aid or comfort, well, then you're knocking yourself out of the race. So he says Donald Trump is in a tiny, tiny number of people who have essentially disqualified themselves. I mean, yes, right? He has no one to blame but himself. So I thought that was a really good argument. He said we have a number of disqualifications in the Constitution for serving as president. For example, age. I mean, I've got a colleague who's a great young politician, 26-year-old Maxwell Frost. He can't run for president. Now, would we say that's undemocratic? Well, that's the rules of the Constitution. If you don't like the rules of the Constitution, then change the Constitution, he says. Oh, yeah, it's the rules. Them's the rules, buddy. And in this case, the rule that you yourself broke. So I hadn't thought about that before. You know, I thought about it being a rule, and I thought about it being in the Constitution, and we have a Constitution and the law of the land for a reason. But I hadn't thought about it being the one stipulation that you break the rule yourself, and so you basically disqualify yourself. Anyway, I thought that was a good argument. Speaking of, though, being taken off the ballot, the Maine Secretary of State, and I can't be surprised by this because this is the way we roll now, right? The Maine Secretary of State says her home was swatted after she removed Trump from the ballot, or at least put the legal kind of play, the legal maneuverings into play there as to whether he could or will or will not be on the ballot. Maine Secretary of State Shenna Bellows says her home was swatted because of escalating threats over removing Trump from the state's 2024 primary ballot. Swatting is when they call 911 and say something horrible is happening at your house, so the SWAT team shows up, but nothing's really happening at your house. She says she was the target of swatting when a false emergency call resulted in, yes, the strong police presence to a residence Friday night after her home address was posted online. That's what they do now. They don't like what you think. They don't like who you are. They, instead of attacking the ideas or donating money to the legal cause for which you believe, they attack you. They do it online with threats. They do it online with nasty words. And then they do it this way, right? They call the police on you. Bellows family was not home when the threats escalated and when their address was posted online. She said it's a good thing because their home was swatted last night. I mean, that can be really dangerous. You have police coming to your house with guns. They don't know what's going on. You know, scary. Maine police said an unknown male called regional communication centers on Friday, saying that he had broken into a home in the Augusta area. Police confirmed the home as Bellows. Officers found the house empty. The investigation is ongoing. Apparently, she's not the only one. You know, and I blame one side, but here's more information because 3 Republican members of Congress have said they have been the target of swatting incidents this week as well. And that includes Senator Rick Scott of Florida, Marjorie Taylor Greene of Georgia, Brandon Williams, a Republican. Well, can I speak today? A Republican from New York. No one harmed in any of these incidents except for the taxpayer who's paying for money for these response calls, right? But there is concern for the security of politicians now, or judges as well. So, yeah, people. Speaking of people getting you, um, I got somebody, I don't know, whoever you are, well played. I don't know if you can see this. I got a message, a couple messages actually now from the Biden Harris team. They're looking to fundraise and they're looking for uh, campaign volunteers. And so someone signed me up, used my email address, and they signed me up as Jorge. The message from Biden Harris says, "It's time. It's go time, Jorge. We're officially in the election season." Yeah. I've gotten multiple messages addressed to Jorge. So whoever used my email address and signed me up as Jorge, well played. Like that. Pretty good. Um, President Biden is doing something, it seems now, about our medical debt. I don't know if you have any medical debt. I have had medical debt in the past, but the president plans to scrub medical debt from credit scores to raise the credit scores for millions and millions of people. Um, and that could allow them then to get a better car loan, get a better home mortgage. This is good news for people that are saddled with medical debt. About 1 in 5 people report having medical debt now. And so, Vice President Kamala Harris is saying that the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau is beginning the rulemaking process to make this change. Medical debt in credit scores is problematic because they say mistakes and inaccuracies in medical billing are actually pretty common. They say access to healthcare should be a right and not a privilege. And these measures will improve the credit scores of millions of Americans so that they will better be able to invest in their own futures. The question is, if you know that your medical debt doesn't affect your credit score, does it mean it goes to the bottom of your priority list to pay off? And we already have hospitals that are declaring bankruptcy. Or in my own community, we have Petaluma Valley Hospital. They closed down their obstetrics unit. There, you can't have a baby at that hospital anymore. So you have to go somewhere else to some other town to have a baby. That's it. Unless you're having some type of home birth. We are seeing communities without hospitals, without medical care. And I don't know, on one hand, I like that medical debt is not going to affect your credit. But on the other hand, if it's going to have make people not pay those debts, then I think that's the next escalating crisis, that we're going to see more medical facilities closed down in communities where they're sorely needed. So, in addition to pulling medical bills from credit reports, this proposal prevents creditors from using medical bills when deciding on loans and stopping debt collectors from using credit ratings to pressure people with healthcare related debt. They're going to take some feedback from small businesses, then they're going to issue a proposed rulemaking, a notice of a proposed rulemaking at some point next year. So, on the surface, I like it. I don't know if it's all the way thought through. I don't know. Yeah. Um, Randy writing, how does single payer solve the problem of hospitals in rural areas closing down, for example? Yeah. Chris finding a way to skirt the system there. I don't necessarily know that's a good idea. Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. On one hand, I hate that medical debt would affect your ability to live your life. On the other hand, at this time, we have a system where we have to pay for our medical treatment. And so as long as we have that system in place, we can't expect hospitals just to say, okay, well, never mind then, right? Lady Beatrice writing, certain types of treatment should not be a matter of cost or debt, especially when it's life or death. Yeah. SF Tesla says, I've walked into the ER with insurance, gotten a bill as well. Yeah. The ER is not cheap. Absolutely not cheap. So we'll see how this goes out. I just put the link again. Again, it's the first day of the new year. And if you decide that you want to pop in and chat about any of the topics that we discussed today, please, please, please feel free to do that. All right, let's talk about AI bots, why don't we? A new kind of AI copy can fully replicate famous people, and the law is powerless. Now, this article in Politico describes the copying of, or the AI copying, basically, of two psychologists. One of them, his name is Martin Seligman. He uh, was one of his followers, one of the people that was a student of his, um, took everything he's ever said, every book he's ever written, every article he's ever written, every paper he's ever published, and fed it into this AI system, which spat out a Martin Seligman AI bot. So I could go to it with my problems and say, listen, Dr. Seligman, I'm feeling depressed. And the out would pop whatever he has to say. So this is an old graduate student of his. He says, I've created a virtual Seligman. It took 2 months to feed every word Seligman had ever written into this cutting edge AI software. And it built a very, they say, eerily accurate version of Seligman. It's a talking chatbot whose answers drew deeply from Seligman's ideas, whose prose sounded like a folksier version of Seligman's own speech, and whose wisdom could be accessed by anyone. Seligman then sent this chatbot around to his friends and family to see whether it actually sounded like him, whether it gave the advice they thought that it gave the advice he would give. He said, I gave it to my wife and she was blown away by it. It's called Ask Martin. It's built by researchers in Beijing and Wuhan. And originally they did it without his permission or even him being aware that it was being done. But he likes it. Great. Glad you like it. He's thinking, after I die, my work will carry on. This is wonderful. Not everybody's going to like it, though. That's the thing. They did it to somebody else. A man named Al Perel. He was, though, angry and astonished, or she rather. See if did I get the name right? I know her name is Perel, Perel. Astonished that the AI could replicate her personality so incredibly. She said it's artificial intimacy. So, but both of them, Seligman and Perel, decide to accept these bots rather than challenge it. The question is, if you wanted to block a bot of you, could you do it? And the answer, it's not clear that they could have done anything about it anyway. Because if a bot is of you, whatever your career is, whoever you are, is created in a different country, then laws here don't necessarily apply. Even though in Washington, D.C., they're trying to draft this bill called the No Fakes Act. That would force the makers of AI-generated digital replicas to license their use from the original human. So if I was going to say, take Brian, if I was going to make an AI bot of Brian, I would have to ask his permission first. I would have to license it from him first so that it could be him, right? If he said no, then I couldn't do it. That's not the way it works right now. Yeah. Senator Amy Klobuchar telling Politico, more and more we're seeing AI used to replicate someone's likeness and voice in novel ways without consent and without compensation. So she talked about Seligman and Perel in this. They're not compensated for this. She's one of the sponsors of this bill. She said our laws need to keep up with this quickly evolving technology. But again, even if the No Fakes Act passes Congress, it would be powerless against AI technology around the rest of the globe. Our laws don't affect what happens in other countries. And what's in other countries on the internet is accessed by everybody here, there, and everywhere else. So, yeah, I don't know what the answer to this is. I really don't. Yeah, I mean, I guess there has to be some type of international court set up where you can sue whoever's copying you. But then, if you try to sue whoever's copying you, does it become this game of cat and mouse trying to figure out who it actually is, like an online scammer? What a mess. What an absolute mess. And I guess that's what happens when you put yourself out there in the world. You can easily be copied, you know? Hopefully, it's like these two chatbots where it's someone that respected you, someone that thinks your work is worthy of still being in the world, of being more accessible to people. And it's not a case where someone's taking your likeness and making you say things that you would never have said. Yeah. Um, Speaking of that, let's talk about anxiety and depression for a minute. It's also a report in Politico talking about social media causing increases in anxiety and depression. This, according to the governor of Utah, Governor Spencer Cox, who's a Republican running Utah. He says, I think it's obvious to anyone who spends any time on social media or has kids, and he has 4, that he's seen what happened to them as they've spent time on social media and their friends, and that this is absolutely causing these terrible increases in these hockey stick like increases that we are seeing in anxiety, depression, self-harm amongst our youth. He was talking to NBC's Meet the Press on Sunday. So, legislation in Utah, they enacted it earlier this year, requires social media users to verify their age in order to access their accounts, puts restrictions on when and how users under 18 can access social media sites. It's facing legal challenges from Meta, TikTok, X. They've all banded together and formed this group to fight these type of restrictions. First Amendment advocates have also argued that the law, which goes into effect in 2024, infringes on free speech rights. Do you think that states should mandate this type of thing, or do you think that should be up to parents? And do you feel like your personal use of social media has caused anxiety and depression? I mean, technically, we're on social media here, right? YouTube, is that social media? It's not. It's less like Facebook, although we're on Facebook broadcasting as well. But this is a place I feel like where we can connect and talk about things and discuss the ideas of the day, right? Where we can, the stories of the day, and kind of bandy our ideas about, get to know each other even. I don't feel like this is, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe this is exactly what he means. But I tend to think when you look at social media causing anxiety and depression in teens, it's those popularity contests where the person that gets the most likes, right, feels like the person that on Snap, they have this thing where like, oh well, you and Joe have contacted each other a certain amount of times this week, so you're top friends, you're best friends. And then everyone else compares their relationship with Joe to your relationship with Joe. Or maybe you're on the bottom of Joe's list and you don't feel like you're very popular. Or maybe you see a picture of everybody at a party that you didn't get invited to. Or maybe you see a picture of everyone looking perfect and beautiful and you don't feel like you measure up. Those are the things that I think make our teenagers feel bad about themselves. And it's different growing up now than it was, say, in the 80s or 90s before we had to worry about all these things. But isn't it a parent's responsibility to limit exposure? And if you see a teenager feeling depressed or anxious, or maybe you have a kid that you know would compare themselves, or that you know isn't quite ready for that type of scrutiny, online scrutiny, that you just don't let them have it. I know that's hard. I know it is. Well, mom, everybody else has it. And if I don't have it, then I won't know, what's going on, or I won't know what everyone's talking about, or people can talk about me and I won't be able to see it, or whatever. But it's up to us to protect our children's emotional health as well. You can't just say, give them carte blanche access to everything and not have any, you know, decision making skills in this. I don't know. I mean, maybe if the state says, nope, you can't have it, that will happen. I think kids will find a way around it. I don't know. Oh, we have trolls. I hate trolls. Sorry about the trolls. I'm not able to really police everything all at once if we have trolls. Brian writes, sorry, Brian, I had AI'd you earlier. I'm seeing tons of AI altered videos showing President Biden looking like he has one foot in the grave on Facebook. Really? I don't believe there are restrictions in the use of AI, and I think that is very, very dangerous. Absolutely. I have not seen the same pictures. I'm kind of glad, but that's really scary. Mm-mm. James writing, I think it's the parents' responsibility, but why can't we also put legal protections in place too? We have laws to prevent the sale of alcohol and cigarettes to minors. So we know that cigarettes and alcohol can hurt minors. We know that that social media can hurt minors. So we just restrict all of it. Maybe. I don't disagree that maybe some laws are good, although a little button that says click here if you're 14, you just click the other button. And it's so easy to get around these things. Put in a fake birthday and off you go, right? No. Um, yeah. And Beth talking about a horrible case. Yeah, I know. Horrible things happen. We've seen cases out of the South Bay where kids use social media to post videos of attacks that happened, and then the video is shared of this person being violated, and then it ends up with them feeling so awful that they harm themselves. I'm not saying these things don't happen. I would like to see parents make some tougher decisions though. Absolutely. Um, yeah, Eric says, click here if you're 14, you can lie on the internet. I think you can. If your parents aren't paying attention. I I hope that she doesn't, but even right now, my daughter could have some type of account that I don't know about because she clicked an age that she wasn't or signed up for something. We monitor her phone and her computer, but it could happen. Kids are smart. They'll figure out a way to get it done. So maybe state laws are the way. I don't know. Um, Chris saying when I got to junior high, everyone who was smoking and drinking was happy. Everyone focused on schoolwork was miserable. Well, let's see how let's see how it worked out for everybody. I'm betting the people that focused on schoolwork are pretty happy right about now. I don't know. All right, let's move to this next story. Did you see this story? Speaking of anxiety and depression, there's a story that this asteroid could hit Earth with a force of 2.6 billion tons of TNT this year. Welcome 2024. Scientists discovered this asteroid about 20 years ago, but its mysterious flight path made it lost for decades. Yeah. They say it's pretty slim chance that it could strike Earth. All right. 1 in 10 million. You have still though a better chance of getting hit by an asteroid than winning the Super Powerball. So there is that. They say this could strike Earth. Asteroid FT3, according to NASA, first discovered and then lost in 2007, has a 1 in 10 million chance of colliding with Earth on October 5th. The force of such a collision would not be planet ending, but it could significantly damage a continent. Scientists say it's very likely we're going to escape just fine. Everything's going to be okay. But they note that even sometimes people win the $1 billion lottery, and those odds are 1 in 300 million. And this is 1 in 10 million. So is it a good chance we'll get nailed? No. Is it a possibility? Yeah. The asteroid has a 1 in 34,500 chance of hitting the Earth March 16th of 2880. I guess that's the real threat in 2880. The real threat to Earth it's a different asteroid. asteroid 29075. This asteroid would hit the planet with a force of 75 billion tons of TNT. That would be enough to end humanity. And that asteroid has a 1 in 34,500 chance of hitting the Earth in March of 2880. Well, we got to figure out how to blow that thing up then, right? How to get rid of it. I don't know. And do you ever wonder, it's very sci-fi, if you blow it up or you scatter it and send little rocks out into space, then have you touched off some other catastrophe for some other planet? What happens? What are the ramifications of doing something like that? Other than we get to live, our planet gets to go on. 1 in 10 million chance in October of this year. All right. I don't know if you've been following everything that has been going on in New York, but New York Mayor Eric Adams had this rule that he set into place regarding the busing of migrants into his state from states like Texas and Florida. He said you can only do it on weekdays between such and such a time. I think it was like 8:30 a.m. and noon. And you have to give us a certain number of hours of notice before you bus migrants to us, so we're prepared to handle it and whatnot. It seemed reasonable. Texas Governor Greg Abbott, is not going for the rules. He is now saying, oh, you got this rule in place, do you? Well, let me show you what I'm going to do. His sending the buses, dropping off migrants in New Jersey, and then they check them into New Jersey and they get aboard trains bound for New York. It's an attempt to flout the New York City Mayor Eric Adams' recent order to limit arrivals. And it really kind of kicks this whole political battle and elevates it, I think. So in New Jersey, officials say at least 13 buses from Texas and Louisiana arrived in the state since Saturday, ferrying about 450 migrants to New Jersey. What happens is they then, 10 buses from various locations arrived at various transit sections through the state, and then they are checked in by the New Jersey Transit Agency and sent into New York. No. Mayor Adams' whole point was, we can't allow buses with people needing our help to arrive without any warning at any hour of the day or night, so that they don't have people there to greet them. They don't have support for them. They just arrive and here you are in New York City. Good luck. Godspeed. No. So what's interesting is that the bus operators seem to be cooperating with this new way to get around the requirements of Adams' executive order by dropping migrants at the train station in Secaucus and having them continue on to their final destination that way. It's a loophole around Mayor Adams' order. And it's an unexpected consequence of the new rules. New Jersey did not expect to be in play here. And here is what they're saying is that Texas Governor Greg Abbott continues to treat asylum seekers like political pawns and is instead now dropping families off in surrounding cities and states in the cold dark of night with train tickets to travel to New York City, just like he's been doing in Chicago. So that is what Mayor Adams' office is saying about what's happening here. It really speaks to not caring about what happens to these people. Because if you did care what happened to them, you would want them to have help when they arrive. Pardon me. You would want them to arrive in New York, right? If your state is, I understand a state being inundated. I live in California, so I get it. But if you care about the people coming in, which clearly he doesn't, you would want them, if you sent them to a different state or even made a deal with another state to get some help, right? Look, we can't take them here, but maybe there's a place for them there. And if that's the case, then why wouldn't you want outreach workers to be there? People that can help provide them shelter or clothing or food or what have you, especially for people that are arriving with nothing. Why wouldn't you want that for people? Because this is not a case of helping people. This is a case of being cruel to people. As the mayor's office mentioned, using them as political pawns. And so I might have been able to get on board with having other states share the load. I might have been able to get on board with, making deals with states or sending people to places where there's work for them, where there's shelter for them, what have you. Pardon me, especially if they couldn't do that in Texas. But when you do it this way and send them at night and send them to no help, and the bus doors open and they get off in a place like New York and they have nothing and nowhere to go, that's different. And that shows me that you really don't care at all. Nope. I get that you want New York City to feel the same strain that you're feeling in Texas, but you're doing that at the expense of human beings. And I just can't get by that stand by that with that when it's so unkind. Yeah. But Abbott has found a way to thwart those rules. So I'm sure he's really quite proud of himself. Let's talk about Ted Cruz for a minute. Ted Cruz couldn't have happened to a worse person. Ted Cruz is blamed again as another sports appearance goes badly wrong. Yes. So I guess Ted Cruz went to a football game Monday night to support the Texas Longhorns in their Sugar Bowl matchup against the Washington Huskies. They didn't win. 37-31, Washington won the game to advance to next week's national championship game. The Texas defeat also continues what some fans see as a trend. When Cruz turns up, his team loses. In autumn, he showed up to support the Houston Astros in the American League Championship Series. They lost. Everyone blamed Ted Cruz. In 2018, he was blamed for jinxing the Houston Rockets when the team was eliminated from the NBA playoffs with Cruz in attendance. Fans blamed his poorly timed selfie that he took for Texas Tech's defeat in the NCAA finals. Cruz says no. People are lying hacks at Rolling Stone magazine for an article where fans were begging him to stay home from Astros games. But now with this latest one, they say no, and sports bettors are even getting in on it. If Cruz shows up, what are the likelihoods the team is going to lose? Some people say it's time for the University of Texas to ban Ted Cruz from all games. The all-time greatest jinx in sports, Ted Cruz. When they see him in the crowd, they take his pictures and start posting them. Yeah. One person writes, "Hear us out. Do not allow Ted Cruz to claim he's a fan of your team no matter what. When you see Ted Cruz at your game wearing your colors, you know." Yeah. We could all make a killing live betting sports places Ted Cruz shows up. So, Ted Cruz. Listen. Is it true? Obviously. I mean, whatever. Probably not. But I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry that people are like, no, Ted Cruz can't come to our sports game. Yeah, okay. I was looking at this article. This one is from the Huffington Post. I don't watch Fox News like John Rothman does. But there's a Fox News panelist that is okay with Trump being president from jail. Her name is Dr. Jeanette Nushiwat. She says, if Trump is both reelected and convicted of a crime, that he could just do the job from behind bars. No problem. It's okay. What? No. He's been indicted 4 times on 91 felony accounts. So, yeah, there's a possibility that he could be convicted of a crime and end up behind bars. She said she's okay with it. Right? There were these panelists on Fox were discussing the primary season, how it could affect the chances of Trump retaking the White House. And one person predicted that Trump would be the candidate left standing by the time Super Tuesday rolls around. And the co-host wondered what could happen if the former president is incarcerated at some point. And Dr. Nushawat says he can be president from jail if he has to. No problem. He can be president from jail. So she's comfortable having a sitting United States president running the country from behind bars. I mean, I guess there's not a lot of distractions. Can really focus on that job. That doesn't look good for America, does it? Have a president running the show from behind bars? I don't think so. Would that bother you? It would bother me. I think it should bother most Americans to have a president running the country from behind bars. I mean, it's a ridiculous thought, honestly. When, first of all, if it was a federal charge, he just pardon himself. If it was a state charge, I don't know what happens. That anybody could think that was acceptable? No. I mean, your president needs to be able to travel places, to attend world events, right? Conferences, summits, needs to be able to meet with other world leaders. Imagine having a world leader have to, if they wanted to come talk to the president of the United States, they'd have to check into a prison. No, that's not going to work. Not going to work. Eric says if he's elected, he'll be serving house arrest. Probably. But what does it say to have a criminal, a crook, running your country? I think that's a very bad look for America. And people will make that argument to say, well, it's a very bad look that a former president will have to be behind bars. So he should be pardoned because we can't have America in that type of light. That I disagree with. Former president, you're not in power? No. Jail. You commit the crimes he's allegedly committed? Jail. But if you're a sitting US president trying to do the job? No. Does she have a PhD in stupidity? World leaders coming to Folsom. Yeah, right, Louise. Exactly. No, no, can't do it. Yeah, I thought that was pretty ridiculous. Not very well thought out on her part. No, thank you. Speaking of AI, I saw this article / advertisement for an AI ebook creation tool. It's on sale for $35. You buy this thing for $35 and I guess you feed it information. I want to write a book about a news person who was working at a radio station and the radio station closed down and she took her news prowess to the internet and started shows and they were very successful. And what happened to her then? Whatever story you want to feed into it. That one doesn't sound so interesting. Maybe not my life story, someone else's life story. But you feed the information into this Creation Pro, which is a chat GPT powered interface, and it automates a book. It spits a book out. And so then you can self-publish and put this AI created book on the internet saying what? You say it's written by your name. You say it's written by Square with help from AI. Like, how do you say that? But whatever. You put it on the internet for sale. It's an AI ebook creation pro lifetime subscription for $35. And they say it'll help people start making money online. Written content, they say, can be a great tool for earning money online, but it can be a majorly time-consuming thing to incorporate into your life regularly. Oh, yes, like doing a show every day, it's kind of time-consuming. The power of AI writing tools that ChatGPT is making amplify your written content output easier by the day. So I guess you could do like what? Blog posts every day, just have AI write it for you. Do you want to read a book written by AI? even if the ideas are fed in by a person? Do you want to read a blog written by AI, or do you want to read something from a person? I want your thoughts. I want to know what you think about things, which, by the way, is why I'll put the link to the show in again. That was my throwback to talk radio. I was going to do that. That's why I want to talk to you. That's why I want to read what you're saying in the chat, right? I don't I don't care what a computer has to say about it. I don't care what AI has to say. I want to hear what you have to say. When I read a book, I want it to be because it came from someone's creative mind, not a computer generated thing. Oh. But now will we be able to see? Will we be able to even figure out whether something has been written by AI or not? They say, regardless of your expertise, you can use my AI ebook creation pro to generate and create ebooks with as little as 3 clicks. Wow, doesn't take very much at all. The Swift platform moves fast and makes getting your ideas down and written and out so you can get it published and out into the world earning money. All the user needs to do is put in the essential information that they want conveyed in the book, in the ebook, the project name, the category, what it's about, the target audience, the tone, language, target, and word count. And from there, AI can generate a ton of title suggestions and chapter ideas, and then your full-fledged ebook. Who's going to take the time to write a book anymore? Who's going to take the time to put words together in a magical way that makes people think? If AI is doing that all for us. And how sad is that? To lose that artistry, that magic with words. They say you should take this $35 deal while you can, because eventually it's going to be $400. So if you're going to want to write your ebooks and make your money online, you want to get it right now while it's $35. Written content can be a great tool for earning money online. And so you can get this thing. And I don't know I don't know. Does it make it easier to get your thoughts out there? Because you do have to tell it what the story you want, right? Kind of. Maybe. Are we going to have more content because it's easier for people to get all their ideas out into the world? Maybe. I don't want to take my time and spend however many hours or days curled up with a book that didn't come from a human being. Yeah. James has a good point. The popularity of trash like the Kardashians' Real Housewives tells me people aren't that discriminating in what they will consume. AI will be the next step toward complete idiocy. You say idiocracy. I think you meant idiocy, but okay. Either way. Wally is coming soon. Eric says the artistry will be there, but very difficult to find among all the crap. I mean, you'll have to really seek it out, right? And what will there be rules to require authors to be honest about how much AI was used in the writing of their books? I hope so. Vilma says you can tell if it's coming from a human being. We make mistakes in our writing or dictation. I don't think you'll be able to tell. That's the crazy thing. I think it's so good that you probably won't be able to tell. You could probably even configure AI to say, you know what, make a couple mistakes or go back in and make a typo here or there. I don't think you'll be able to tell. I don't know. Oh, speaking of books, Norma says she was listening last week and I talked about the movie The Boys in the Boat. I would really suggest reading the book. There's so much more to the story than the movie portrayed. Oh, cool. That's really good information. I enjoyed the movie. I thought it was kind of the formulaic sports movie, but I really loved the rowing. So that's cool. I'll definitely check it out. Thanks, Norma, for the recommendation. Eric says we have too much content already. I mean, do we ever have too many ideas out in the world? I don't know, Eric. Spencer says there's enough junk out there from human beings, so he agrees with you. I don't know. Oh, he meant Idiocracy. I'm sorry. Idiocracy is a movie. It's actually coming true. Okay, I have to check out that movie. Yes, Idiocracy. Right on. The best way to tell is by actually reading, but that takes time. Yeah. It rubs me the wrong way. If I'm going to spend my time hearing someone's ideas, thinking about what you wrote, I want it to come from you. I want you to be the one that has some type of skill with words. I want you to be the one that has a great idea, that able to organize your thoughts and put them together in an interesting way and create, as I said before, this magic with words. I don't want it to be done by the internet. Maybe I'm just too old-fashioned over here. I don't know. Oh, gosh. Okay, let's do a little bit more news, and then I did want to talk about Steamboat Willie because I have something to play you. You're gonna believe this. This is it's like a horror movie, but with Mickey Mouse. I'm telling you guys, don't look away. Don't look away. All right, let's do a little bit of news before we do that. I'm gonna play my little news theme. Hold on. I'm gonna get it right. Sorry, I know, working by myself, this is what happens. And
Now, from around the world to up your street, the Nikki Medoro Show presents News Czar Kim McAllister.
all right. Well, it's been a big day in the news, so let me wait till my news screen pops up here. Again, working by myself. What are you gonna do? We've talked earlier about what happened in New York, but let's talk about this story out of California. By law, major retailers in California are now required to have gender-neutral toy aisles. We knew this was coming, but here it is. Governor Gavin Newsom signed the bill into law back in 2021. A major retailer is defined as having at least 500 employees. Violations bring a $250 fine for the first offense, up to $500 for each subsequent infraction. So, this is a new law in California, and you have to be able to appeal to everyone, I guess, is the new situation. Possible motive behind a deadly New Year's crash in Rochester, New York remains unknown. That's the word from investigators who say a 35-year-old suspect intentionally plowed his car into a crowd after a concert, killing himself and two other people. Officials say today there's no apparent link to terrorism, although first responders found at least a dozen canisters of gasoline in and around the suspect's car after it exploded. Former President Trump will take part in a town hall event in Iowa the same night that CNN is hosting a Republican primary debate in that state. The town hall, hosted by Fox News, will be held in Des Moines January 10th, just days ahead of the Iowa caucuses. Trump has not participated in any of the previous Republican primary debates, citing his large lead ahead of his opponents in the polls. So why would he take part in a debate? A Manhattan judge could release a high-profile list of names today connected to the Jeffrey Epstein-Ghislaine Maxwell sex trafficking conspiracy. ABC News says the former president, Bill Clinton, is mentioned more than 50 times in the redacted court documents, but that Clinton is not implicated in any illegal activity. Police in Colorado say a man is in custody after breaking into the state Supreme Court early this morning. Officials say the incident is not believed to be related to threats following the court's ruling that banned former President Trump from being on the state's ballot. The Colorado State Patrol says the suspect shot out a window of the court building and held a security guard hostage before surrendering. A medical breakthrough could eventually mean the end of acne. We mentioned earlier, researchers at the University of California, San Diego say they've created a vaccine that reduces inflammation, targeting the bacterial enzyme that causes acne. There is a new law in New Jersey requiring telemarketers to give their name, their mailing address, and their phone number of the company for which they are working for within 30 seconds of making the phone call, into the phone call. I like it. It's known as the Seinfeld bill after an episode of the popular sitcom featured the comedian asking a telemarketer for their personal information so he could then bother that person at home. That's cool. A new law in New Jersey requires telemarketers to give their name, mailing address, and phone number of the company for which they work within 30 seconds into the phone call. That's awesome. I mean, do I think they'll actually do it? Probably not. Fake names, right? And who will be able to prove it? I don't know. This report is sponsored by you, which means we do count on you to fund the show. The super chat super stickers are open, and you will find us at thenikkimedoroshow.com. thenikkimedoroshow.com. That is where the Patreon and the PayPal links are located, and a lot more too. So please check it out. thenikkimedoroshow.com. Okay. I wanted to play this for you. This is crazy. So you know that Steamboat Willie, which is the precursor to Mickey Mouse, entered public domain now. It was created in 1928, the Steamboat Willie short. And so now, this many years later, it's now in public domain. So now Steamboat Willie is, I guess, can we say it's not copyrighted, or it's just public domain? It's been a certain number of years, so now it's the public. We all have access to it, right? And so somebody, of course, made a horror movie featuring Steamboat Willie. I'm not a big fan of horror movies, but Nikki loves horror movies, so I had to bring this up. The synopsis for the film, called Mickey's Mousetrap, reads, it's Alex's 21st birthday, but she's stuck at the amusement arcade on a late shift, so her friends decide to surprise her. But a masked killer dressed as Mickey Mouse decides to play a game of his own with them, which she must survive. What is it about making kids figures that are created to bring children joy, into these horror movie kind of scary creatures? We saw it earlier this year with the Winnie Pooh movie, right? Winnie Pooh and Blood, or Blood and Honey, or something, I think it was called. And now we see it with Mickey Mouse. All right, I have the trailer. It might be a little long, and I might get demonetized for playing it. I think it's maybe not more than 4 minutes. So if Lori's here, I'm sorry that if it's a little too long, but it's worth getting to the end because there's this shadow of Mickey Mouse ears. I'm telling you guys, it's pretty scary. All right, let's see if I can't play it for you. Trust me, it's worth it. All right, let's check it out.
These are the best party that we can throw.
I've seen some rejections in my time, but man, that was a good one.
There's blood all over the jungle gym.
Blood.
Yes.
Yeah, he's like completely in love with me already. It's totally disgusting.
Put the phone down! Put the phone down, please!
I was like, dude, I've already started.
No, Gina, turn around, please, Gina!
What?
I'll be right back. And he's dead.
What?
Like if he was in a horror movie, you'd never say, I'll be right back. Because then you don't.
Where the hell did he go?
Okay, that's enough of that. So, a horror movie basically starring Mickey Mouse. Is anyone upset by it? I mean, do we have a problem with things being made now uh, in a way that, you know, they can be abused like this? Because what if, I just keep thinking, what if kids see this? What if, somebody's scrolling through and a Mickey's mousetrap, oh, Mickey, and they click on it, and that's not what you want to show your kids. I don't know. This is just like Five Nights at Freddy's, says Lisa. Yeah, that's mentioned in the article as well. Yeah. Right. That's what I mean. Jumping on this character for the shock value of it. And of course, it's, the trailer is released the same day that Steamboat Willie becomes public domain. Is Mighty Mouse next? Probably. Yeah, it looks not good. And maybe here's the question. Is it an instant cult classic or is it an instant flop? Right? So I think probably an instant cult classic. Of course, the first movie to feature a character like Mickey Mouse, everyone's going to want to see it, maybe. People that like that genre of film will want to see it. I would like for it to be an instant flop so that we could at least keep Mickey wholesome for the kids. Like just that. Can we just have that one thing? That's it. Just that one thing? No? And I wonder how pissed off people at Disney are about this. I mean, there's not much they can do, right? I don't know. Katie's talking about creature features. Yeah, but that's different than a beloved character being taken, from sweet Mickey's Roadhouse, cartoon to being turned into a serial killing murderer. I don't know. Spencer can't watch it. He thinks it's going to be a flop. I want it to be a flop, but I don't think it will be. The lady Beatrice says, how messed up is this? Taking children's things and making them into nightmare-inducing movies. You bet I'm upset. I was pissed when they gave us a violent Santa. Right? I mean, can one thing not be sacred? I'm telling you. Who's next? Barbie, Terror in Pink? Oh my God, don't give him any ideas. Lord. Maud says, oh, hell yes, let's go. Comet. Heather writes, I don't know. Is it done in a campy kind of way or does it seem to take itself seriously? Either way, I think it looks dumb. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't seen it. It seems kind of like a silly movie, maybe like there's a lot of humor in it. I don't know. Yeah. Not cool. Katie says, come on, Kim. Mickey survived the Mouseketeers wearing his ears. Eric says, this is as bad a cash grab as Songbird turning COVID into a movie plot. Yeah. Oh, John, I don't want to put that one up. That's awful. Yeah, same was done with Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. Absolutely. Pooh, Blood and Honey. That's right. Montreal 4 says, good for Mickey not tolerating all those bratty kids. William says Mickey survived South Park. Right. I don't know. So a lot of ideas. This the Steamboat Willie character entering the public domain. I feel like this is the first of many such movies that we are going to see, or shows or whatever else, where they're going to co-opt Mickey Mouse for things that maybe we don't want him co-opted for as the public. So we have to vote with our wallets. The trailer says, we saw that, so a place for fun, a place for friends, a place for hunting. The mouse is out. So I don't know. Nikki will probably watch it. I will not watch it. That's what I can tell you. And I hope a lot of little kids don't accidentally watch it either. All right. That is the Nikki Medoro show for today. So exciting because next, the Mark Thompson show is on YouTube and Mark is back in the captain's chair. He's back from his travels at sea. He's back from his fill-in at KFI and he is ready to resume. Always a great show when Mark is in charge. And today we have David K. Johnston on the show and also Jefferson Graham will be on the show. So it's a really good one. The Mark Thompson Show. Find it also at themarkthompsonshow.com. But please join us next. I am Kim McAllister. Nikki will be back tomorrow for the second show of 2024. Thank you for sticking with me today. I really appreciate it so much. All right, I will end the show in 2024 with, I believe I have something new for you guys. It's a little take on the Nikki Medoro song.
You're oh so awesome.